This is the fourth and most important panel because it goes to New Orleans. Here we have got through St. James, St. John Baptist, St. Charles, and New Orleans. Then we have a lovely view of New Orleans with all the sailing ships, which were still the main thing in the 1860s. And then we have, it's a long route from the Gulf into the actual harbor, and it has four entrances possible here. Of course, this is the Delta. This is where the land, all this is land that's been built out over the centuries. But then we have two forts, Fort Jackson and Fort St. Philip, that protected the entry into the river for over a century. Plaquemine Courthouse, and you come up here, and it doesn't really, it's kind of, this blocks out where the city is, but there is the big harbor. Here is, this is coming up right through here. This is actually sort of the wide waterway that's the Mississippi. It comes around into New Orleans. And this is the French Quarter with the older churches and buildings that were the original city. And it's an extraordinary place. There's music all the time. There is extraordinarily good food. And I have, my children and I have been going there and their families for 30 years. There's constantly great music, good food, dancing, and very a lively time. I have been there 30, well, I've been there for 30 Jazz Fest, but I went there as a child, and we stayed in the Roosevelt Hotel, and there was this great blue room that had a round dome ceiling with white lights in it. So it was like an evening sky, and they had an orchestra. It was lovely. That was back in the early 50s. But I've heard so many great musicians, and after the last Jazz Fest, well, right before it started, the last one that we attended, I was walking, I was driving down the street, and I saw a lot of school children coming toward a record shop that I knew on Washington. No, yeah, I think or Jackson, and I went in, and they told me that Ellis Marsalis was going to be teaching these parochial school children about jazz. So, well, I knew there were a bunch of people in there, and I didn't think they were mostly my age. I didn't think they were going to buy records. So we stayed there right close to it. I almost touched the piano. And these little school children came up and sat down on the floor in front of the trio. And Marsalis did this fabulous job of very simply explaining the notes, what a jazz attempts to do, and then he would play some, and then he would ask the children questions and so on. And I recorded with my phone for about half an hour. It was just marvelous, and we, unfortunately, when the COVID hit this spring, we lost Ellis, one of and his has a great family of players, Winton and so on, Jason, Delfeo, and so on. But anyway, we've been going there for years, and but in that time when I first came, and from then on, I've also been doing a map show, and I do the map show, have for many, many years at Gaia Consulting, Gaea Consulting, and it's 536 Washington Avenue, 536 Washington, and the number is 504-962-5360. All my best New Orleans and Southern Louisiana material is there on display. and I've done shows there before and after Jazz Fest every year. But it's a marvelous place, and Tonya Koob is a good friend who owns it, and she has a consulting business there about water, which is an extraordinarily important thing in New Orleans.